Welcome, my friends, to another special episode of On the Capo podcast. I am your host, David. And as we traditionally, at this point,
Yeah.
we have Dan Barrage from Dan, the English Lion, to give us his mid-season review all the way from the old stomping grounds of the guy that stole from the rich to give to the poor, Robin Hood. Dan, what's going on, my friend?
What is? Yeah, I think that just sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
yeah, it's just been awful, hasn't it?
Absolutely. 17 games down the road, already down the pike. And for those that I would like to give a little perspective before we ask Dan for his midseason review. Uh, every season in MLS, there's 102 points on the table for the taking, 34 games, three points apiece potentially. Already, we have played our 17th game. That's 51 points that were on the table. Out of those 51 points, we managed to get 17. So 17 points, 17 games. So I want to give you the rundown on this. Um, the goal that we scored last night was first goal since April 27th. Out of the games that we have played at home, we have a 1-5-3, one win, five losses, three ties, tied with Philadelphia as the worst home record in MLS. This is basically the rundown of all the home games from opening day till last night. Tie, loss, win. This was on the 23rd of March. I believe that's when we saw each other, right, Dan? I think that
Yeah,
was, yeah. Then tie, loss, loss, tie, loss, loss. 7 goals for, 11 goals against. I don't know if I mentioned it 4 times. We have been shut out. And this month of June, there's still 9 points on the table. And this Wednesday, we're going to be going up to Charlotte, who's fifth on the table. Then we're going to come home next Saturday to face Chicago, who are 11th. And then the following Friday, we're going to go up to New York City, who are fourth. In July, we have away at Toronto, versus DC, away at New England, away at Nashville, home against New York City, and then also home against Montreal. Out of those three teams, three of them are in playoff position. Three of them are not in playoff position. Two of them are, for a total of 18 points. There's going to be a recess of the regular season hostilities between July 26th and August 24th for Leagues Cup, as you know. If you don't, I'm telling you right now, the official position of this podcast is we're going to be boycotting this event. We are not participating, covering, or going to the games or anything like that. And with that said, Dan, where are we with 51 points? And before you say that, one more thing. In order to make playoffs, statistically speaking, you have to have 50 points to make the postseason. As of right now, of the 51 points left on the table, Orlando City will need to win 35 of those points in order to make playoffs. So, all right, my friend, it's all you.
yeah. I mean, I've been meaning to do it today, but I haven't had a chance. I've been meaning to sort of sit down and work out the points per game and where that would take us. Because I did it a couple of weeks ago and we were well short. Like I'm scared to do it now. It's just been, pardon my French, it's been fucking awful. I'm just going to warn people now. If you want me to be positive, that it's just not going to happen tonight. I've got nothing positive to say about this team, this club at the minute. I mean, I saw a picture online just before we came on of the scoreboard with Urchankara on it that I've tweeted out, and I'm just like, that just sums it all up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm writing my analysis piece as I normally do. We're nearly finished. I'll probably go live tomorrow. And I'm just sat there thinking, well, what am I analysing? Like, what am I actually analysing here? Because I'm watching this game, and the way my life is at the minute, with like my kids and stuff, I find it really hard to stay up all night and watch. So I watch the next morning. I avoid the score and I watch it that way. So I've got more of a clear head, I think. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, what are we doing? We actually, compared to other games this season, didn't play that badly yesterday. It was
Hmm.
we were sort of camped in their half quite a lot, but LA knew that we can't break them down. So they knew they just needed to be patient and pick us off, which is exactly what happened. And from looking at the season objectively as a whole, I don't know what we are. Are we a counter-attacking team? Are we a possession team? Are we on the front foot? Are we Jurgen Klopp rock and roll style football? I don't know, because we're not doing any of it. Not doing any of it well, at least. We
Yeah.
can't defend. We can't score goals. We don't look like scoring goals. We don't look like keeping them out. And I hate to get into the whole Pappy in and out debate so early, but
Hmm.
I mean the guy's a legend. He should be revered as much. But
Yeah.
I would love somebody who's Pappy in right now to explain to me why. Because to me that performance against LAFC looked like a team that is not fighting for their manager. He's not fighting for the shirt. It looked like a team devoid of ideas. It was just dreadful. I've got literally nothing positive to say about it.
Interesting that you say that, then,
About the
about
performance.
running out of ideas, because it was interesting. Yesterday, I went to the TCC tailgate with John, who, for those that are not familiar with the show, my two other co-hosts, excuse me, and it was interesting because I was talking to John's youngest, his only son. He's two, and he just started with this. Is a program to teach kids football, and obviously if there's talent there, then be conducted to the academy. And we're talking about that. He was very excited. This is what clubs need. One of the things that, uh, if I can go on a we can deviate for a second. One of the things that people accuse American football of being is there's no culture, there's no heritage. People are older than the clubs, but it's been around for 14 years, and now you start to see these children that are being literally Orlando City fans from the crib to the grave. These guys, the club was there by the time they were born, and now, for example, Ahmed, his son is in the academy, and I watched the game with him yesterday. And one of the things, then, that I'm starting to notice is how well educated our fan base is. The I
Yeah.
think sometimes social media gives, and when we saw each other this year, we sort of discussed this briefly, where the idea that, oh, Americans will cheer for anything. There's no relegation. They have no
Mm.
cool football culture, et cetera, et cetera. And when I watch the game, the people surrounding us share the same frustrations. And I'm saying this in the tailgate of the event that we had with Orlando, or Friends of Orlando Lions, then at the brewery, which is here in my neighborhood. And you can hear the people that are very well educated on all the things that are happening on the club and what good football should be and what they're not getting. So at the end of the game, the people surrounding us, they're shaking hands because they see each other every weekend. They're like, okay, well, I'll see you next Saturday. There's no need then to get mad, because they know getting mad is fruitless. It's not conductive to any changes. And the trigger word for me that you said is, we're running out of ideas, and that's something
Yeah.
that I said, something that I said, something that people around us said. You can overhear it, that we have no ideas. We don't look like we know what we're doing. And before I give you the microphone, the most frustrating thing to me is getting to that final third and people not taking a shot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how do you see that,
Yeah.
man? Because to me, live, people were like, somebody just take a shot, even if it's off frame, but give us an idea that you're fighting to win the game.
Yeah, that to me is indicative of a team that's got no confidence, got no belief in what it's trying to achieve, whatever that is. Because honestly, at this point, I have no idea. It's just awful. I feel very. I don't know if disillusioned is the right word, because I'm quite angry at them, like with just the state of the club in general. This may well lose me my press pass, but at this point, I just don't really care. I wrote about it last week. These owners, they're not football people. The Wilf family, it started for me back in the summer with the naming of the stadium. I know to a lot of people that wasn't that big of a deal, but to me that was a huge deal.
Mm-hmm. I share that.
You know, I like to torment Fort Lauderdale fans online, and now the reply I get every time is just go back to your Inter Stadium, and I'm like, I don't actually have a response to that because it's just embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. I said to someone, I think I might have even said it to yourself and Taylor when we were last on. If my Premier League club, our big rivals are Derby County, and there's a bank called the Derbyshire Building Society. If our stadium was to be sponsored by the Derbyshire Building Society, there would be riots. it would get really ugly, and I remember the press release hitting my email, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? It was like, come and join the Zoom press conference, and I was like, I'm all right, thanks. I think this is disgusting. I think how you have looked at that. Yeah, I don't really care what the deal was on the table, whether it's financially makes sense. It just makes us look a bit of a laughingstock. And you've got that, and there's things I've heard about, like the way the front office are currently like treating certain fans and members of supporters groups and stuff like that. And then you look at the way the team is playing now, and there doesn't seem to be any rumours of Oscar losing his job or being under pressure. Look, they're NFL people. But the NFL is quite commonplace, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm kind of a casual NFL fan, but generally the coach gets the whole season.
Right, because there's no,
change in the off season,
it's only 16 games, and there's no promotion relegation. I mean, you know what I mean. Like the season is very short. We got 34 games, my friend.
Yeah. If we were in Europe, South America, the UK, wherever, he would have lost his job 18 months ago.
Absolutely.
100%. And we started last season badly, and fair enough, we finished it better. Like we looked a lot better, and then going into this season, people were fairly confident. A lot of the pundits were confident we would do well. We had a better squad on paper, and it just looks worse. Everything looks worse. And sure. I have a real big issue with the planning side of them building the squad. Rodrigo Schlegel's not good enough. At all.
Yeah.
Not even as a backup. Yeah, you've gone into the season with 3 centre backs, knowing the third one you've signed, David Brekalo, is Slovenian, so you're going to miss him for the Euros for a bit. Mm-hmm. You knew that was going to happen.
Yep.
So now what do we have? Nothing. Duncan Maguire isn't going to be an Orlando City player past the end of the European transfer window. He isn't. We can kid ourselves into thinking he's going to sign a new deal. He isn't.
Right.
And why would you? Like, we're not giving him a reason to do that. Like, the club could turn around now and offer him, like, this is another thing, that we haven't got a DP slot. And for some reason, one of our DPs is sat on the bench all the time, even though when he does come on, he looks more likely to do something. He scored yesterday, Ojeda. He just must be sat there thinking, what the hell am I doing here? Like, why am I wasting my time?
Right.
But even if we like bought him down or bought someone else down and gave Duncan like huge money, why is he going to take it? Because let's be honest, even if we gave him 3-4 million a year, He'll make that in the Championship.
Absolutely,
He'll make that
absolutely.
in Belgium or Syria, as Torino have been mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he going to stay?
There's no
He's
reason
got
for
no
him.
reason to. But they still haven't planned for him leaving. So when he goes, and if Tom Bogut's to be believed, which he usually is,
Mm-hmm.
we're expected to be quiet this summer. Then
Yeah.
what have we got?
No, my friend. Listen,
It,
it's
I look
important
at
that
the
you.
team last night. Like the players we had to put out because we had a couple missing for international duty. The bench was woeful.
Oh man, I'm telling you, bro.
What are we
I need
doing?
to take antidepressants before. I should have done that before then.
Oh,
Um,
honestly, I should have pre-warned you.
no, it's all
I'm so
good then.
done with the
No,
season.
first of all, oh, by the way, just for the people that are watching us, I just want to apologize for the quality of my camera. The funny thing is, Dan is at it's like past 10 o'clock. For me, it's 5:24, and I have the sun. And for some reason, this part of my house is super dark. I can never get it right. And the other one is for those wondering what does it say under my name. It says the football fan from Bayamon, because I actually was doing something for Puerto Rico football. Forgot to change it. But to go back to
We know who you are.
yeah, right. To go back to what you were saying. No, absolutely. Listen, to remind the folks that are listening and watching this, the Duncan is not an Orlando City product. He doesn't owe us anything. He's just a guy that we pull from a hat, on the draft. And aside from that, he's a guy that had aspirations to go to Europe, and unfortunately, the situation with Blackburn did not go. I mean, laughable. Not even Hollywood would have come up with this thing of somebody not hitting send versus save. Personally, I would have said, hey, okay, it's Blackburn. Blackburn, first of all, Blackburn has won the FA 3 times. Yes, it was back when Queen Victoria was still sitting on the throne, but championships are championships. They are a founder of the FA. To me, um, being there would have been a great opportunity. I mean, you have Manchester City, Manchester United down the road, exposure. You know what I'm saying? It probably would have made a lot of money had that gone through. But things are the way they are. How do you sell a young man that probably grew up watching football on TV? Because not for nothing, no disrespect to Nebraskans, but Omaha is not a hotbed of football. It is not until 2 years ago that they finally get a football team, and Union Omaha, which plays in USL League One, the third division of the pyramid. And he owed this place absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, in the team, some of his closest friends are Europeans. Has spoken to him about the allure of Europe. The guy's gonna go, and that then to me, after what happened last night, my friend, I just don't see it happening. I don't know. There's no money. Money. If money was an incentive for a young man, a guy that is, what is he, 21, 22 years old?
Yeah.
He wants to go, man. He wants to experience. I mean, the world is his oyster right now. He has a good decade in him to try Europe, and this is the time. Um, One of the things that you said that you didn't want to get into, but it's unavoidable. Then is the Oscar Pareja situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I've said 1,000 times at nauseum. I spoke with him personally at the Pareja Perspective event. He treated me very nicely, and I have said it before. Oscar is an incredible human being. You get to talk to him often
Yeah.
in the postseason and in the post game interviews, and you will attest that he's a gentleman on and off the pitch. He breathes and lives football. But we have tried his system for 5 years, and he came in when we were in turmoil, where we were complete chaos. We were the laughing stock of the league, set us right the right way. We have been to playoffs. We have won some playoff games. We lifted our trophy, etc., etc. But this year, it appears that we're heading. We're in the trench with Luke Skywalker, and I don't think the Millennium Falcon is coming to save us this
No,
time.
no,
So, what would you say about the situation here? Because I would like to read this to you because Taylor was here last week, and our good friend Taylor Williams from Orlando City, UK, and I would like to go over some comments. My apologies, I have a gazillion pictures on my phone because all of you keep
yeah.
sending me stuff. Okay, this is actually from Austin David, fellow podcaster. Although he has retired from that since he works for the team, but he's probably the rogue individual in that front office right now when it's about giving his honest opinion about the team. I asked Orlando City head coach Oscar Pareja about the team's offensive struggles over the last few weeks. In his response, we are not being precise. We want to do an extra pass. We were working on that part during the week and it's not happening. I need to coach them and I need to guide them. Okay, so he's sort of taking responsibility for that. Our good friend Taylor says full time, 1 to 3. There's nowhere to hide right now. In 2024, Orlando continues to be the team that leaves you craving much, much more, especially at home. Just when you thought things couldn't get more painful, it just did. And Austin David again with an important fact. That's Facundo's first penalty he's ever missed. And yes, that includes his youth career. Thoughts on that, my friend?
Yeah, it's first of all, I haven't spoken to Oscar much this year because, like I say, I struggled to stay awake like late at night with the time difference and the kids and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
he's an absolute gentleman. Like I would never say anything negative about the man because he's lovely. He's wonderful. I saw that graphic with the OC podcasters where it's like
Yeah.
the political spectrum, and I really enjoyed that. I was like, if we could extend that to like other content creators, I need my
Mm-hmm.
own car because I'm so far out that like, yeah, I'm not even on the page anymore. It's just it's time for a change. It is time for a change. I kind of grow a bit weary. So I'll sit and watch the press conferences and stuff the next day, and I get sent the manuscript, and I leaf through it. It's just the same stuff every week. It's like, oh, we need to work on this. Oh, we'll coach that. Nothing changes.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think. I just don't think at this point he is the man to turn this around. I think we're at the end of the road. I think he's done. But what's going to happen? You can people can bookmark this or whatever. He's not going to get sacked. Luis Musi's not going to lobby for it, and the owners aren't going to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
he's going to be here for the rest of the season. The whole debate is pointless, in my opinion. We are, people know I'm usually more cheerful than this, but like, we are going to miss the playoffs. The season is going to peter out. It's going to be abysmal. He will go in the winter, I imagine. And then we'll have a rebuilding job because Duncan Maguire will have gone. Faku will have gone. The Pedro Glace is probably coming to the end of his time. There's going to be a massive transition, I think, this winter. And I think we're going to have to suffer again for a little bit. It is my honest opinion.
No, I
You
see
might
that
need to go and get
perspective.
those antidepressants.
Yeah, for sure. But one of the things, Dan, is I think you bring a fresh perspective because you're in a country where football clubs face relegation. Relegation always brings layoffs, affects the community financially. Also affects attendance. One of the things that I have discussed with I discussed with Taylor, and I have discussed with a lot of British friends that either support my English team or support Orlando City or both. Is that when you are at the top of the table is gravy, like we say here in the States, right? It's everything is great, everything is awesome. But when you get relegated with ginormous stadiums that now perhaps are too big for the league that you're playing in.
Yeah.
Uh, those structures require maintenance, require cost. You lay off people. The quality of the player that you are attracting is lesser. You cannot charge as much. When you get relegated, your academy still gets the same amount of money as the league that you got relegated from for about 2 years. And when you make that transition from the football league to non-league or national league or the conference, however you guys still refer to that league, after 2 years, that money for the academy dries off. And the thing about it is that I think people that come from here in the Orlando City fan base, people that come from that culture as yourself, do not sit well with losing because it's in your DNA that you understand this is not good. And like you have said, teams will sack a manager for that. We have already seen Atlanta do that. We have already seen Nashville do that. And interestingly enough, those two managed to get sacked after wins. That you could have argued, hey, you never gave him the man a chance. Look, he won a game. So, with that said, um, and I agree with you. I don't think that Wills will sack Oscar Pareja unless they already have somebody on the wing. Um, and like you said, the puppy in puppy out fight is fruitless if there's no conduit to, like, they just gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like fighting over. Uh, I don't know if you remember this commercial. I don't know if it was ever in England. It was like Bud Light. Like, one guy said Bud Light is great because it's more refreshing, and the other one is because it's less filling. I don't know if you remember that commercial. That one, they're
It
fighting
rings
over.
a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It was a
probably been at some
stupid
point.
argument over
Yeah.
what makes this beer great: less
Yeah.
filling or I don't know. Anyways, the point is that I think that's basically what we have here.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees things are not great, but how do we fix them? So in a perfect world, you're given the magic wand, right? How do you see us proceeding in the second half of the season?
If I'm given the magic wand and full control, this is the thing. There's so much to unpack that I don't even know where I'd start.
Yeah.
The dugout probably, but I don't. This is part of the It's part of the reason I think the Pappy out debate is pointless, but it's not the main reason. I genuinely don't know who you'd go and get that's better unless you were looking, in Liga MX or a European league. In terms of like MLS coaches that could come in and do a job until the end of the season, I don't think there's too many out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we just the team just needs to get back to basics. There needs to be, and people, I've chatted to people about this on Twitter. People have said we've gone back to basics with, and I'm not talking, they'll go, with going between 3-man and 4-man defenses and stuff like that. And I'm not talking about tactics. I'm just talking about making us hard to beat. Just being defensively organised in whichever formation that you want, and bringing a couple of players in. We desperately need reinforcements. We need another centre back. We need at least 2 strikers. We probably need new fullbacks as well. We need quite a lot. Like we were we were a little too quiet in the winter. I think there's a couple of players on the roster at the minute that have been there for too long. I'll probably get a load of stick for saying this. I think Kyle Smith's been there for too long. Nothing against Kyle. I think he's a decent defender. But, he's not the first choice right back. He's not the first choice left back. He's solid, but yeah, he's just. I think if you look at a team like LAFC, we want to be where they are, but we are so far away from it.
Absolutely.
When you look at the game changers, they like Denny Bwanga, like he's such a good player. Like, I mean, the third goal was criminal. Like how he was able to sort of waltz through like that. But there's a lot of dead wood in that squad. Again, Rodrigo Schlegel been there too long. I don't think Mason Steiderhaar is a good enough deputy goalkeeper.
I'm glad you agree with me on that.
Yeah, especially when you're going into a Copa America season. Like Jack Lynn's done all right in phases, but can you rely on him when Duncan Maguire, even if he doesn't leave, he's going to the Olympics.
You know what? Let's go look at the roster then. Let me go ahead and go look at the roster. I like the way you're thinking right now because we can be a charity. Okay, roster. Here it is. All right. So I wanna get your impression, buy or sell here. Ivan Angulo, does he has a place in this squad in 2025?
He does under a better coach.
Okay.
I think he's a player that I like. He's tricky. He's fast. He's a bit inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's a player that I do like. I think he needs a better coach.
Okay. What about Cesar Araujo?
No.
No. Okay.
I think this might sound very ridiculous. He must have some dirt on Marcelo Bielsa because he's got no business being in that Uruguay squad.
All right. Well, his brother's done well, so there's always nepotism.
I mean, he's decent to break. He's good at breaking up the play in the defensive sense when he's on form, but he's not good enough on the ball. But I feel like when Wilder Cartagena's on form, because I am a fan of, you can get away with it because he's much better at progressing the ball than Cesar is. But if you've got a midfield where like Cesar's playing the Declan Rice role, you're in trouble.
Okay, this is an interesting one. David Brecalo.
He needs time, I think. He's obviously a good player. He's played to a good level. He needs time. It's difficult to judge him in this defence at the minute. It's just a shambles. I don't think he's really had enough time to sort of get his feet under the table. So I think he needs time.
All right. Wilder Cartagena.
I'm a big fan of him. Yeah, I would put him on a good contract and I'd try and build the midfield around him, to be honest, because players that can break up the play and move the ball forward aren't that common, and I think he does that well. But again, I feel like under a better coach, he would prosper more.
It's such a young guy too, by the way. So yeah, I'm 1,000% with you. Someone that we don't know what's going on because he's not hurt. He wasn't on international duty, and inexplicably he was not in the 18 last night. Ramiro Enrique.
I would move him on personally. I think he's had enough chances. If you go back towards the start of last season, he doesn't affect games enough for me. I know he doesn't start many, but when he comes off the bench, you need that impact, and you don't get that from him often enough. Yeah, I wouldn't lose any sleep if we sold him.
Gotcha. Pedro Galese.
Great keeper, but I think he's on the decline.
Okay.
And I
Uh,
think you've seen that this season. So he's a goner for me.
got it. Plus, he's occupying a international spot, and he is one of the best top five best paid goalkeepers in the league. You have Gaston Gonzalez, who's on loan to Nacional, a player that I will remind the fan base we bought. Even to me, awful deal. $2.5 million for a guy that looked very good, and as many of you know, the beat writer for Union de Santa Fe got in contact with me. I was privy to what was going on behind closed doors, and now I have the freedom to say, look, I have videos of his father discussing the terms and all that, and I tried to share that with the fan base. And Gaston got hurt. I don't know how you buy a player, and it's like buying a car and saying, okay, you just drive it to work for 2 3 weeks, and
Yeah.
on the day that you're supposed to bring it to me, bring the car to my house, you wreck it, and that's exactly what happened.
Mm.
The kid just not even a shadow of who he signed. So his loan expires in December, and so is his contract. And if
Yeah.
we don't resign him or find a buyer, he basically is walking on a free, which means we lose all that money. Your opinion on that?
It's difficult because he was one. The when we signed him, I was quite excited about. From
Hmm.
when people say don't trust the YouTube clips, but I mean he looked a player that could have been useful to us. But obviously, like you say, he got that horrendous injury. He's never really recovered from it. I don't know what his form's been like out on loan. I haven't
He's
been
been all
following
right.
it, to be
He's just been
honest.
okay. No, nothing,
Yeah,
nothing to write home about.
he. I don't feel like I've seen enough of him in an Orlando City shirt to like definitively say he's not good enough. Even though, from what I have seen of him in an Orlando City shirt, he hasn't been good enough. If that makes sense.
I hear you.
I just, yeah, jury's out on him.
Our captain, Robin Jansen.
This is going to be another controversial one. I think it's time to go. People are going to be screaming at the screens now, but I mean, it's a discipline. I have a real issue with his discipline.
Mm-hmm.
The way he loses his rag, and I mean, don't get me wrong, we all lose our rags with pro referees. It's
Just
terrible, but
sort of poster child of that. But anyways,
how many yellow cards has he picked up from that and served suspensions?
his last five are all dissent.
Yeah,
Nothing to do with football.
I just think that the discipline issue has been an ongoing thing for a while, not just for Robin Jansen, but just for the team. You think back to Oscar's first 2 seasons. Even his first season with the playoff campaign, like the way we lost our heads, it's an ongoing thing. I think we need to move away from that. So you can't have your captain doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Not in this day and age. 15, 20 years ago, it was fine. And he seems to have lost half a yard of pace to me. He got caught out again last night. He's never been particularly great in the air. Again, he's been a good servant to us. I'm not sort of being negative on him in that sense, but I do feel like if we're going to progress, he's probably one that should go as well.
Wow, that's
I think there's a lot of work that he's doing to this squad.
no,
Like
absolutely.
I think it's more than people realise.
No, Dan. I mean,
I
it's
did warn you all. I've
no, no.
got
Listen,
nothing positive to say.
it's a hard medicine, my friend.
Yeah,
I mean, we have told people before, if you want a podcast that everything is awesome and it's gonna rah rah rah. There's shows for that. We
yeah.
want to be honest. About everything. For the sake of time, we're just gonna go real quick with this ones. Some of the homegrowns. We're not gonna talk about. It will be unfair. Most of these guys are OCB players, anyways, and I think that OCB to me is meeting the metrics. It's developing talent. The last game to me is not much of a sign of where we are. I mean, we were playing an independent team with men that are in their 30s, and they that was a number one squad, and unfortunately, we managed to come from behind. We tied it, but at the end, they took the extra point on the penalty shootout. So players that I think need our attention: Nicolas Loredo, a player that won everything there is to win in this league in Seattle, but is definitely a shadow of who he was there. I don't think we got what we paid for. What do you think?
I he's one of those. I think under a better coach and a better system, he'd still have more to contribute. I think he's an upgrade on Mauricio Pereira, and I loved Mauricio Pereira. I really did. I don't think we've seen his best form. I think you're right, but I think in a better team and a better setup, he's still got something to give. Even though obviously he's getting on quite a bit, I'd give him another year.
Mm-hmm.
I think because I think you do need those experienced heads around. If I'm already kicking out Robin Janssen and Galese and whoever else,
Yeah, I hear you.
he's probably going to have to stay.
A player that doesn't cost a lot, basically, to me, is a person that already is building towards their life after football. Somebody that I have a lot of respect for professionally. Felipe Martins, I think,
Yeah.
is going to benefit whatever community he decides to move to after football's over. For what I hear from people, he is very business minded. He loves to groom talent,
Mm.
work with the youth, and I think any academy out there, any university or high school for that matter, will benefit from an individual like this as a coach. But Felipe definitely is, he's just is a supplemental space in the roster, and I just don't think that he's a player that is making an impact. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He's useful insofar as he can come on for 5 minutes and see a game out, but
Yeah, for sure.
really,
You got
aside from that, yeah, I agree with you. I think he's
yeah.
sort of on the
Jacqueline.
wind down.
What about Jacqueline?
I, I do. I don't not rate him. I know it's double negative and doesn't really make sense. But he's a decent finisher. I just don't think he's got enough in terms of his all-round game to do well at MLS level.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could do okay. I think he could sort of journeyman around the league a little bit. But, 5 years' time, he's scoring goals in the USL. I wouldn't be shocked.
Absolutely.
He's a decent footballer, but he's not what we need.
All right, I'm gonna skip Rodrigo Schlegel. We already spoke about him, and
I'll pay for his plane ticket.
I wanna talk about our DPS as a whole. We have Rafael Santos, Mason Stutter, we spoke about Dagger, Dan Thorhausen. These guys are fairly new to the team. In some cases. I think Santos and DDT, as we affectionately call them. I think they're good players. They could be better, but these are guys that are just journeymen. Would you agree? Just guys that do the job.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's fair. Dagger Down, I am a fan of. I think he's steady. I wouldn't have him as first choice right back or anything, but he's a decent backup option. I am a big fan of Rafa Santos. He's got a wicked left foot.
Oh, absolutely,
He's the
poisonous.
best crosser in the team. But he's sort of a victim of the whole general malaise team and the club, I think. Because he's not been as good as he was last season. But he is a good player. He's a good player at this level, and I would definitely keep him around still.
No, for sure. I mean, we haven't had a good left footer like that since Luke Bowden. A guy
Yeah.
from your neck of the woods over there. So, and to round up, we have uh, excuse me, Martin Ojeda and Luis Muriel and Facundo Torres. Our DPs have a total of 5 goals in 17 games
Wow.
and 3 assists. And Muriel and Torres are north of the $2 million range,
Mm.
and Martin Ojeda is on the 1.5. So I mean, these guys in one day make what most of us probably make in a year, or in a one
Yeah.
week, I should say. So um, when I look at the DPs in other clubs, we look south to Miami. Look, who they have. LAFC, who came here to town. I see FC Cincinnati then that not only has developed players,
Mm.
sales players at huge profit, and still it doesn't look like something is missing. And then they grab a player like Yaya Kubo, South Korean guy that Nani humiliated here a couple of years back. And their manager basically takes the time to develop the player. Something that it seems here that our players come with incredible highlight reels and sort of like take steps back. And this man in 12 minutes had a hat trick. In Orlando, we haven't had a hat trick since 2015, and the only man that has managed to do that is Kyle Lair. And so we haven't had a hat trick. It was in New York, by the way, as on a away
I
game.
was going to guess Kyle Laren. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't had a hat trick in since 2015, 9 years. That to me is a troublesome statistic. Um, and before you give me your comment on the DPS, I want to remind everybody that last night Miami went to Philadelphia without their DPS, without their major stars, went down to 9 men and won that game. And I'm gonna take the Orlando City hat for a minute, and I'm gonna tell you I'm a football fan first. I love quality football. I think with jealousy, I never had I play a lot of sports. I play baseball, basketball, American football,
Mm.
but I never played football or soccer, how it's called here, because unfortunately in the United States, and I'm from Puerto Rico, a U.S. territory, which is if in a state is difficult on anything, in the
Mm.
territories is worst. And
Yeah.
for people in the UK, what the difference between a state and a territory? Imagine being born in England versus being born in Gibraltar or Isle of Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that type of atmosphere. And I always see these guys with jealousy because they were blessed with either height or speed or the ability to maneuver the ball with their feet or the ability to stop all that. And Miami has done very well in recruiting. Their academy and other parts,
They
not
got that
so
talent.
much. Right.
They
Well, no, for sure. But
yeah.
it's about the right now, and they have done very well. To me, then them winning that game shows that the players believe they can do it, and they can go out there and get the result. And unfortunately, I don't think that we have it here. So with that said, your overall idea of what's good and bad with our DPs at the moment.
See, if you look at our DPs, we've got Faku, Muriel, and Ojeda. They're all good players in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Luis Muriel struggled, and I think that's obvious. But you see flashes of quality from him, and you don't play at the level he's played at without having some. He's a player I've seen play in the Europa League over here, and he is a good player. He really, if I'm being honest, should be. He should be in double figures because he's that quality of player. He should have no trouble scoring goals, getting assists in this league, which is why I'm a bit patient with him because of the way the team's set up and the way we play. It's very difficult for him to do anything. Facundo Torres looks a shadow of the player he was You and I were chatting earlier. I can't see anyone paying for him right now. Any decent amount of money, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And Martin Ojeda, I really rate him. I think he's a good player. I think he's got an eye for a pass. His movement's very clever, but for some reason, Oscar Pereira he seems to hate him. He's either on the bench or, when the rare occasions where he does start, he's the first one to come off. If you just put those three on a pitch, and I said this at the start of the season, I said we should have gone with a 4-2-3-1, those three behind Duncan Maguire, and just say, you three, do what you want. Like a lot of top European teams do now. You see, like, Arsenal, like Saka and Odegaard will just pop up everywhere. Like, I'm not saying they're on the same level because they're not, but they are creative players. They are players that can score and assist and make things happen. Just let them play. But it's not happening. And if I was Martin Ojeda in particular, if I was him, I'd be completely disillusioned. I'd be on the phone to my agent saying, "Get me out of here."
Wow.
Because what business does he have being on the bench? He doesn't. I'm just assuming his attitude and training stinks, because that's the only thing that I can think. Like, why is he not playing?
I'm with you on that.
Facundo Torres, he's a good player, and he'll have a decent career in Europe or Liga MX or wherever he ends up. But people are still mentioning the Ajax and the Arsenal thing. Forget about it. There's no that ship sailed. I think for them,
for sure.
I think if he gets a move to a decent Liga MX club or like Belgium or sort of lower end Eredivisie, he'll do well. But in terms of like MLS, he should be one of the high performers. He should be. Those three together should be a fearsome force, and they just aren't. So, for me, if we were to change coach and bring somebody else in, and then somebody else got the best out of them, then great. I think that could happen, but I just don't see it, because I just feel like they'll get to the end of the season and they'll all be frustrated in their own way. I wouldn't be that shocked if all of them wanted to leave, I'm being honest.
Well, one thing that happened last night that was interesting then was former captain, Manchester United and Portugal great Luis Nani was in attendance. Yeah. I include myself in this group of the people that were screaming at him, "Please come back!
Yeah,
please come back!" When I was a kid and throughout my life, I always made fun of the young women that scream at boy bands, right? Like the Beatles and New Kids in the Block and all that, and going in panic. And I have to admit, to my embarrassment, that now I know what that feels like. Yeah. Because when Nani showed up unannounced, just like, "Hey, Luis Nani's here," and people were tripping over themselves to like shake his hand, take a picture, say hello to him. And I spoke with several people that basically they were just begging Nani, please come back. I mean, I like, I don't know how it is in the UK, but when I was a kid in Puerto Rico around Good Friday or whatever, they will have they will have movies about Jesus or whatever, and you'll see the people trembling, trying to touch him or whatever. I don't mean to be offensive to anybody, but that's what that to me, that's what it looked like. These people trying to beg this man, go ask the kitman for a uniform and come back, because this is not the same. And I think, aside from Nani's ability to play, he just had that incredible tournament that he just finished. I was completely unaware of it until somebody shared on social media him screaming as a former Lion Sasha question, and then shaking his hand and throwing. It was insanity. But um, he had this culture and mantra of let's win, let's rip our clothes off
Yeah.
and go to hell and back with holding gas tanks. Um, I looked at the person next to me, some stranger, and I said, "I will take him for 200K right now as a super sub." And that person said, "I will write the check. I will write the check."
Yeah.
Dan, I mean, what you make out of it? Is this a ploy of Nani forcing himself back into the squad? Because Nani is without a club right now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just left Dana Dunspor, hasn't he? Don't I don't know if it was that from his point of view. I think he probably was just coming back because he had a great time here, and he's probably like bringing his kids and just
He
having
owns
a
a
good
home,
time.
by
But
the way, in town. He has property in town. Yeah.
yeah. So he may well have just been visiting. I'd give him a deal till the end of the season personally because we need something. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean that's how bad it is. Like no disrespect to Nani at all, but obviously he's been very much in the twilight of his career, and we're talking about giving Nani a 6-month deal to just make us slightly better. That's how. Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
just
know, man.
just get Julia, so we'll get the band back together. Let's sign Juan.
No, I mean, okay, right? Now that we're
Let's
coming
just
to
do it. Daryl
yeah,
DK, let's get him back.
no, for sure. And we brought Urso last year that completely was non-effective. But
Yeah.
I mean, two different players, obviously. With now rounding up our conversation, you visited this year. Just you picked the best time to do so because it's the one and only time we won a game, 2-0 versus Austin. Which I haven't been checking with them. Let's see where Austin is on the table because
It was the Red Bulls game I was at.
it was the Red Bulls game. It was
Yeah,
one.
we didn't win the game I was at. We never
Yeah,
win when I'm there.
yeah. Austin right now is in the wild card game and
Yeah.
position, and obviously Red Bull is third in the East, and so how was that trip? I mean, a lot of people have argued that the game day experience has incredibly gone better. The
Oh
main
yeah.
street, the stadium, the way you buy things, the club shop, all that is incredible. The club has won several awards, and I tell you, Dan, and I tell the fan base that is watching us, if you don't follow Orlando City on LinkedIn, I suggest you do. If you are a sicko like me that loves the business side of football and the
Mhm.
intricacies of making a club profitable and customer service and all that, in my job, I'm a field service engineer. I deal with my customer base is surgeons, doctors, nurses. Probably one of the most hard to please
Yeah.
customer base you can have, and that has to be right there with football fans because they always want more. But the on the pitch performance has been completely out of whack. But I think there's been a lot of improvement. How you found the stadium first of all, versus your last visit?
Oh yeah. I mean, I know I've been completely negative this whole episode, but this is the one thing I will be positive about. I mean, whenever I do go, it's just incredible because everybody's so friendly and like I think a lot of the UK fans all said the same thing. Everybody's super welcoming. I had my first tailgate experience, which I've been wanting to do for a while, and I don't really know why I haven't done it. That was great. The whole sort of match day experience is completely different to here. And I wouldn't say it's sort of better or worse, so it's just different. The whole tailgating culture, I love. I loved. I got to take part in the march to the stadium. That was great. Um, I have some slight issues with the way the stadium security runs, just because I just find it really frustrating when you walk onto the wall and people are walking in like messy jerseys or even just like random teams. Like there was like a Man City shirt, and there's a guy running. I've forgotten the guy's name now. I did chat to him for a while, but he's running around with purple t-shirts saying
Yes,
Bobby's on.
yes, I know what you're talking about. Him and I served
Um,
on the same ship in the Navy. Oddly enough, different years,
oh,
but
okay, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean that guy's job shouldn't be that hard. Like, why are we letting people in? But that's a different thing. Just in terms of like the feel of the stadium, like the atmosphere, it's just all amazing. The food options are incredible. Like English football grounds have a lot to learn from MLS stadiums, in my opinion. Um, your drink options are great. Just the atmosphere in the stadium is just wonderful. I absolutely adore going. Like even though it was a terrible performance, I just had so much fun, and that can kind of leave you feeling a bit better about things.
No, for
Um,
sure. And
I
you know,
don't know whether like it's something because it's a bit more of a novelty for me than it is sort of season ticket holders who go every week. But
right. Well, I gotta tell you that your feelings are what I experience. I love live football. And if I was privy to, I actually the job that I had before this, I was working as a X-ray and anesthesia engineer, a service engineer for veterinary hospitals. And I don't know what's in the water, but here in Orlando, most vets are football fanatics.
yeah,
uh, I had a customer. If you ask me personally, I will tell you the hospital. I just don't want to throw them out there because I just I'm not
yeah,
gonna say anything negative about them. But this Colombian doctor and his son, you go walk into their office and it's the walls are it's it. They took a picture of the wall and the office is like the wall. It's like if you are like sitting there with
wow,
people
yeah,
and they go to all the games. I think they have a suite or something like that. It's
yeah,
insanity. And then I also had a customer that a doctor on the west side of town that he is a huge Manchester United fan, and he will fly at least once a month to catch a game. I wish I had that type of cash.
yeah,
But I understand what you're saying, and I don't mean to cut you off. I went to a game with a friend from Stevenage, Steve Gates. We know each other online and we interact about Stevenage and whatnot. He had an incredible blast. He said the whole experience, as you're saying, was incredible. The football could have been better, sure. I mean, it was the 0-0 result against Miami, but the quality of the experience. I mean, the guy bought himself
mm,
an away jersey. I mean, he was all in. And then our friend from Orlando City, UK, Kevin Reese, he was there with his family, his son-in-law, his daughter, and they just love it, man. They come there like it's a great time. It's fairly priced, and as part of your holiday, it's just a great addition to it, you
yeah,
know. But it will be interesting to say, like you said, if I have to go day in day out, will my perspective change? Because I mean,
yeah.
it's frustrating with what we're seeing.
I don't think it'd like change massively, but like the whole, like I say, the whole just experience is it's just brilliant. Like I just really enjoy being there. Um, yeah, it's just a shame the football's not better.
Peaks and valleys, my
But
friend. Well,
we'll get there.
and the next time we're gonna have you on, hopefully we'll have Taylor at the same time, and that's the plan. This time we didn't, for those that don't know, because Taylor had to go to the Taylor Swift concert in Liverpool. Taylor, we know it's not your idea, it's your wife, but we're Dan and I are married, man. We know we gotta give a little to get a lot. That's the way it is. That's the way it is.
I
Uh,
think he enjoyed it more than he lets on.
Probably so.
Yeah,
So next time we're gonna have everybody together. And next time we have you on, it's gonna be when it's all said and done, the dust is settled. Um, Truly, your expectations for this half of the season, and do you believe that missing the playoffs for the first time in 4 years is or 5 years is gonna be a possibility this time?
I think it's a certainty. I don't think
Mhm.
it's a possibility. I just can't see it.
Yeah,
What was it you said earlier? 35 points from 51 available.
51. Yeah.
I can't see us doing that.
Wow.
I just don't see it. I kind of just want the season to be finished already. I know that's it's such a funny season as well, and I kind of want to touch on what you were saying about the League's Cup as well. Cause
Mhm.
I haven't put anything official out yet, but I think that's gonna. I think my approach is going to be very similar to yours. I just not. I'm not like the tournament itself. Like last year, it was quite enjoyable, but what they've done to the Open Cup in the you know in the name of the League's Cup, as it were, I'm just not on board with it. It's a
You
cash
saw the
grab.
tweet. You saw the tweet when they said Leagues Cup posted Orlando City's going after the first MLS trophy, and
Yeah,
they have to
I'm
delete
just
it. They have
like,
to retract
what?
it. Yeah,
Yeah, just unbelievable. Yeah,
yeah.
unbelievable. Don Garber and the rest of the MLS owners seem to hate history for some reason, and I am as traditional a football fan as you will find, because to me history is everything. And the one thing I will say about this club is it's not particularly old, 14 years old now,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a culture there. There is history there. It's a very special club. It's a very special fan base, and I don't think people realise how special it is. And like for me, um, MLS isn't fashionable in England. It's getting more respect, but it's not fashionable. So if you have someone in the US, for example, who's a Manchester United fan or a Liverpool fan, and an Orlando City fan, they probably feel more strongly about Orlando City than they do Liverpool or Manchester United. For me, I've grown up a Nottingham Forest fan. I have been all my life. I went to work, for those that don't know, I went to work in Orlando 15, 16 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at uni, I worked for Disney. I fell in love with the area. I've visited so many times since. I own a timeshare there. It is my home from home. The club means just as much to me as what Forest do. Um, which is why I'm so like down and negative at the minute. 'Cause the way things are, like I can't even blame Forest because the Premier League season's finished. I, it's such a special. It is such a special club, and the memories we made with that Open Cup win. I was so devastated because I missed the final by like 2 days, I think it was.
Oh, you gotta be
Yeah, I
kidding
came
me!
end of 2022, and it was all sort of pre-booked months in advance. And I remember watching the final on my kitchen floor because my brother-in-law, who was also coming on the trip with us, was sleeping in the living room where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
Wife and kids were upstairs, and I really wanted to watch the game, so I got a load of bean bags and was on the kitchen floor
Wow,
watching it on my phone, and I was so happy. Like, just
it was a
it was
magical
just
night.
an incredible
Yeah.
experience, and I'd have loved to have been there. Sadly, I just missed it. But I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but it's such a special club, and to have that history disrespected in the way the league have disrespected it. I mean, football's such a unique, beautiful sport. History's such a big part of it, and you just can't fly in the face of that history. You just can't do it. All for a meaningless tournament that, if we're being honest, no one gives a shit about it. Pardon
Yeah,
my
I
French
agree.
again. Like, no one cares. It's CONCACAF Champions League without all of the other teams. It's, I mean, people look at some of the games last year, like Austin against, I can't remember who it was now.
Oh, the Haitian team. Oh, I'm sorry. Open.
No, in the Leagues Cup, it might
Oh,
have
in
been
Leagues Cup.
Cooper or someone like that, and there was no one there. And it's just like,
Yeah, yeah.
for the big games, with the Tigres and the Club Americas, and you know, people might be interested in that, but you get that with CONCACAF Champions Cup, as it's called now. Like, why
Yeah,
are we
yeah.
doing this Leagues Cup thing? I don't. It's just a cash grab,
It's just a cash
and
grab.
and that's all it is to Don Garber. The biggest. He is the biggest enemy to MLS. I've said it for a while now.
Mhm.
And people will say it's the owners, and it is, but he's at the catalyst. He when he was offered the job said he hated the sport. He said he hated soccer.
Right, I remember that. John here on the
Still
show brings
hates
that
it,
up all the
if
time.
you ask me.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Oh, all
Yeah,
right then. Well, it's getting late for you.
yeah.
We're here in an hour and 10 minutes. Where can we find you on social media, and where can people consume your content?
Oh, all over the place now. Twitter, at the English Lion One on Twitter. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Threads. Uh, what I'm saying at the minute, the best thing to do is if you head over to the website, theenglishlion.net, /subscribe, pop your email in there and you'll get all of our content as it gets released.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suggest for old fans, it's great to get the dance perspective. I learn a lot. I don't claim to be super football knowledgeable, and I learn, and I have learned things over the years. And also, one of the things that I have to learn is patience, is measuring my words, thinking about things before I say them, because it's the Latino heat in me that sometimes I just lash out, especially when I feel that the person's wrong and I'm right.
Yeah,
So, Dan, thank you again, brother. You and Taylor taking time to do this. I know the time difference is a mother effort. So,
yeah.
thank you. I appreciate that.
No worries.
With that said, I would like to let people know this show usually is live Monday nights at 9 p.m. Orlando time. We're live, so you can come and you can come on the show and all that. We want to let you know that we're on Instagram. We're usually live on X, live on Facebook, live on Twitch. We're on TikTok. We're on Threads. We're on Blue Sky, as at on the Capo Stand. You can consume the show on audio only at Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and you can find us obviously on YouTube at David's Channel 76. So please give us a thumbs up, a subscription, a follow, whatever it is on that platform. That help us out. Our idea is to be a platform for the fans to be able to, you know, say whatever they want without any repercussions. We don't judge. We don't call it good, bad, indifferent. This is just like on the capo stand. You're leading. You're commanding the attention. That's what the rationale behind naming the show on the capo stand is, for you to have your opportunity to express yourself. The club belongs to us. Remember that, guys. The club belongs
Mhm.
to us. Oscar, the players, Jared, Mark, all those people are just caretakers of what belongs to you,
Yeah.
the club. And in this show, before we go, I want to remind everybody that we are about the badge, the colors, and the institution that was born on a Austin, Texas table 15 years ago, and that's all that it is, my friends. We gotta love the club, and the club is gonna love us back eventually. Some days, like I always say,
Yeah.
it's difficult. So thank you, Dan. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And
No
we say
worries. Thanks for having
goodbye
me.
the only way we know how, by reminding everybody that football is not played on paper but on grass, that football is cruel and unpredictable. Football is a pound of talent and an ounce of luck. And if you haven't cried for football, for joy or anger, have you really football? For myself and that, and then may God bless you. Oh, by the way, happy Father's Day to everybody. And as always, vamos Orlando!